So this week, I'm really excited to discuss a new narrative that could be really impactful across the entire crypto space, but Hedera in particular. We also have some really exciting hackathon news in the Hedera space, a new social media and gaming platform, and a new NFT project that has hit in a massive way. Welcome back. I'm Brandon, the HBAR Bull, here once again to bring you the latest in the Hedera ecosystem. But as always, none of this is financial advice. Use it for entertainment or educational purposes only. So to lead into that narrative that I was talking about, we have a fantastic interview that really hit home for me, and I think it will for you as well. I'm excited today to have Philip. He is the CEO and co-founder of Swarm. We also have Hanya from the Hedera Foundation. Thank you both so much for giving us some time today and hopping on.
Great to be here.
Thanks so much, Brandon. It's great to be here with you.
Well, it's definitely my pleasure. As soon as I saw what Swarm was doing, I knew I wanted to get you guys on to explain exactly what's happening. But to start, Philip, can you explain to the audience what Swarm is and what you're trying to accomplish with it?
So, the topic of regulated securities on-chain has been around for a long time, but I think the synopsis is effectively that we want to build this missing infrastructure that is residing between the off-chain world and the on-chain world. So since a couple of years, we've been building how to build these regulated securities that give people the compliance comfort at the same time are DeFi ready. And the goal is obviously to sort of build this to be compatible with any kind of equity, bond, or fund, or anything to come into the on-chain world and become a programmable asset.
That makes perfect sense. And why did you decide to integrate with Hedera in particular?
I think when it comes to these kind of things, it's really a comfort to know that something's has a high speed, a high predictability, that it's something that actually is built on the right premise of the trade-off between decentralization and centralization, so that there's no arbitrary nature to it. So, Hedera has been a player that has been for long-standing sort of, in that space. The governance council speaks for itself, having sort of the elements of big corporations that are backing this. And so not just is the chain technology-wise fit for purpose, but it's also that the pedigree of the involved organizations are fit for purpose.
That makes sense as well. So, Hanya, how does Swarm fit into the broader picture and strategy for the Hedera Foundation?
So, Brian, I think for us, it's about proving that tokenization is here for everybody. In essence, that's already working and that people can interact with it today. And what Swarm is doing is it's bringing, obviously, Apple, Tesla, MicroStrategy shares on-chain and making them tradable. And if you think about it, these are brands that everybody knows. It's not like an exotic asset. It's the kind of stock that sits in retirement portfolios, ETFs, index funds around the world. And I think right now we can hold these kind of securities and in a way that feels natural on the Hedera network. And from the foundation side, this is an important moment because I think the hardest thing has been for tokenization is to really bridge trust and liquidity. You can digitize anything. You can digitize, and there's a variety of different forms of how to digitize things. And we know that also from our work in sustainability. But you can digitize real estate funds, bonds, but unless it's kind of tradable in a regulated way, it stays stuck. And I believe that Swarm has cracked building compliance structures, but that also plug into DeFi. And this is exactly the direction that Hedera is moving into. And I explain it like this sometimes, that Hedera provides the rails and Swarm can be considered like the high-speed train in essence that is moving on that. And every single trade, every single settlement, every wallet that gets involved is like a passenger boarding that train. So we're super excited about this. And I think it shows momentum and it also shows that demand, and it's not theoretical, and that we're investing into this direction.
All right. So I've heard regulatory compliance and regulation here a few times so far in the interview. Philip, how do you address the regulatory requirements around making these kind of securities DeFi ready?
Now, the response is obviously like 5 years in a synopsis, right? So we've come a long way where not just, we as an organization are now capable to better understand how to do these things, but I think the regulatory landscape better understands what's really needed and what they expect us and any kind of token holder to abide by some rules, right? So in different shapes and forms, regulation is baked into our technology stack. From the issuance side to the liquidity side, there's different things that people can make use of to become regulatory compliant with what they do. The trick is obviously to make that as seamless as possible. So a lot of the work that has happened in the last 2 years went into not overburdening anyone who's interacting with this, whether it's the issuer that issues these tokens, or the regulator who's looking at it, or the end consumer who's trying to purchase and to trade it, just to make it basically as seamless as possible for everyone involved. So effectively, it's a programmable compliance stack that has onboarding, that has different sort of restrictions when they're necessary. But you can imagine it basically sort of ideally not getting in the way when people even use it in DeFi, right? So that is, I think, probably the biggest challenge in the last couple of years, was actually how to get the technology to a point where it preserves the flexibility of what DeFi can offer, while still making it as seamless and compliant as need be on the other side.
One of the differentiators with Hedera is that they have KYC flags on the accounts themselves. Is that something that you've been looking at? Like, once you've KYC'd your particular account, then you can play in a certain walled garden or something along those lines. Have you looked at that difference with Hedera with those KYC flags?
No, and for good reason, because we believe and have been building for years already on open public infrastructure, right? So this has to work on public infrastructure the same way that it works on permissioned infrastructure, the same way that it works on some blend between the two, right? And so what we have to do is, number one, we can't rely on other people's onboarding when it comes to sort of knowing the customer that we're dealing with on the issuance side. But number two, actually, there's going to be for different types of assets, there are going to be different types of onboarding requirements. And so we've built like a multi-dimensional permissioning that is actually built on smart contracts that allow the issuer and the trader to actually formulate what they need and possibly insert their own expectations into that. So in the end, it's great that there's permission, or there's already onboarded wallets, which only speaks to the pedigree of the Hedera network that is actually sort of being brought to bear here. But the second thing is we don't know whether there's a subgroup of those that are only qualified, for example, to trade private securities, which have a different regulatory realm than public securities. So there's a lot of things that will need to actually sort of be brought into this space, because we're starting on public. Certainly, it's going to go more into the private sphere, and in different shapes and forms.
So one of the things that I wondered as soon as I saw Swarm is, are these securities going to be able to be traded on things like Saucer Swap, which is our DEX in the ecosystem? Is that something that you could see happening in the future? Or is it going to be some kind of more, like I said before, like a walled garden?
So I cannot speak for other protocols. So, it's hard to make a statement, especially when I'm a regulated actor here. But that said, the tokens themselves are freely transferable peer-to-peer. So basically, once someone has actually sort of onboarded with us, has basically sort of gotten their hands on a Tesla token or whatever they purchase, it's their decision what to do with it on a DeFi landscape. So if they want to take it to some other protocol to actually find some other buyer on the other end and do that, then they're permitted to do so. If they then actually at some end of the equation, if they come and want to redeem, they still have to be onboarded.
Sure.
Right? So that gives a lot of flexibility. And I think that shows the progression of regulatory sentiment these days, that this middle piece is possible. That was not always clear. And I think that's the progression that has happened in the last couple of years, that's possible under certain regulatory regimes.
Oh, this is exactly what we were wondering, so if it is traded on some other platform and somebody picks it up that hasn't gone through the process of what your requirements are, they have to then go through that before they can offboard and, possibly get fiat for it.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Exactly. Yeah. So whenever they interact with our entity, that is the entity that is a regulated entity, then they do have to sort of, be an onboarded, permitted participant, right? Everything that happens beyond that in DeFi may also be subject to that. It really depends on how the DeFi platform is structuring this. So give you an example, we built a liquidity protocol called DOTC, which is basically it's a peer-to-peer line order-based, smart contract-based trading approach. And you as someone making an offer, you can decide, I need a KYC person on the other side. And you can choose who that KYC should be provided by, right? So it's your decision for your comfort to do that or not do that, right? And I think those choices are important because there are very different actors that are sort of transacting in this space, and some don't need these kind of things.
Hanya, I'm going to throw a little bit of a curveball at you here. I know that in addition to this kind of stuff, you're very focused on the refi ecosystem on Hedera, the carbon credits and things like that. It seems like this solution would be perfect for what you're working on in that department as well. Is that correct?
That's very correct. Yeah, I think this is a perfect way where we're bringing actually two worlds together. And I think a lot of the work that we have been doing in refi for regenerative finance, for the people that might not be aware of what that is around sustainability, is really digitizing, I would say, methodologies and frameworks and policies to make them compliant in a way, and to allow also to create programmable assets. And I think what we're doing now with Swarm is showing that, hey, these securities, instead of just being a replica of the actual asset, we're actually creating something that can behave like a living programmable asset, and that can also go into lending protocols, that can be utilized as collateral for structured products. And that's, in essence, an active component of your financial toolkit. And that's exactly the same work that we have been doing within the sustainability markets, really providing that digitization in order to add value to the token and create something that can be an active and valuable component of your financial toolkit in order to diversify. So I'm really excited about this because this creates that bridge between the refi market, capital markets, and then DeFi. And hopefully we can see that connection also happening very soon, and that the market also sees and gets excited about that.
Well, considering what we saw come out of India with the carbon bank, we also have PwC coming up with solutions for the carbon markets. We have Vera getting involved. I think everything's kind of coming together all at the same time, and I'm excited to see what happens in the months and years to come. So let's broaden our lens a little bit here, Hanya. What's your long-term vision for tokenized securities on the Hedera network?
So the long-term vision, in essence, for us, as I mentioned before, it's really about how can Hedera being, I would say, the player in order to bridge the capital markets and the DeFi market, leveraging, our governing council or the institutional kind of pull that we already have. And in short, we're building a world where, capital is it's not a closed world. It's open, it's liquid, it's accessible, but without losing the necessary safeguards that the regulators and the institutions require. And I believe that Hedera is the perfect place where these two worlds can come together, and where that scalability can happen. So I'm actually really excited and seeing how we can prove that and collaborate further with Swarm and other ecosystem members in order to bring that integration further.
Well, I'm certainly excited as well. To wrap this up, Philip, where do you see TradFi in Web3 going in the long run?
Let me say one thing though, like latching onto, I think, the use case of carbon, because it speaks to actually what blockchain actually can do in this case. And I know that Hedera has been putting a lot of work into this aspect specifically. So what data is associated with an asset in the traditional financial markets is really, really hard to see. So if you actually go to a trading venue and traditional landscape, you basically have to go to some repository outside, see that there's data. You have to trust Bloomberg that they're saying the right things about it. Maybe the auditors have said something right or wrong. Here, there's a platform where you can actually, if structured the right way, you can tap into the assets, the latest data. You can have the data being attested to. You can have the whole tree of insights that is now going to become available. And that for the longest time has not been possible. So credits, we know that they have like 10 different dimensions of qualifications, for example. There's a continuous update happening. There's stuff that really, really impacts the value that you're just about to buy, right? So that in itself is often forgotten when thinking about RWAs. A lot of people think mainly about liquidity, instant liquidity, global liquidity, but they tend to forget actually sort of the verification credibility aspect. And also they tend to forget the automation aspect. So if you have, for example, instead of having quarterly yield, maybe you have every hour you can stream yield into the wallet of a user, right? That automation as a programmable function is something that is completely undervalued by a lot of players in the market. And I think that's where like solid trust-based infrastructures like Hedera will actually stand out in my mind. So back to your question. So, there's for the longest time, the key question was basically, why should tokenized assets have any kind of edge on financial markets, right? I think that is like the beginning question that I started to get it like 6 or 7 years ago. I think we're at this accumulation point now. Number one, we discussed that things are possible today. But more importantly, there's another element that is coming to this space is AI. And what AI is going to deliver is, a comprehensive way how to value assets based on the data. It's going to lead to trade execution that is going to make this less complicated. It's going to be a different UI actually put on top of blockchain that, users are not going to need complexities to actually sort of execute on it. It's going to help me personally build my portfolio of value exposure and help me catch up and keep up with what's happening there. And, the reason why this will reside on blockchain is because everything that I just talked about cannot happen with a core banking system in the legacy world, right? So there is a Cambrian moment that this is all coming together, and this is going to make tokenized assets actually stand way superior than traditional assets in the traditional financial markets. And that's going to roll over the traditional thinking of how regulators are thinking about how to build for the space.
Well, I can't wait to be in the Hedera DeFi ecosystem and being able to trade some of these assets back and forth. Hanya, it's great to see you again. Thank you for coming on today. You articulated things so well. Philip, I couldn't be more excited about what Swarm is doing. I really think that this is, like you said, it could cause like a Cambrian explosion of potential within the Hedera ecosystem. I want to say good luck and thank you for building on Hedera, and thank you for coming on today and explaining everything so thoroughly.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you, Brandon. Great seeing you.
So this interview really was a light bulb moment for me, and it comes down to something that I've been talking about for a while, and that is what I thought was going to be the progression of how crypto and DLT was going to impact the TradFi space, markets in particular. I thought that, DEXs and NFT platforms would serve as a proof of concept, and they have for Hedera. We've had some commodities exchanges like the Digital Commodities Exchange use that DEX style system to create marketplaces. And then the next thing was going to be medium-sized exchanges, and we had the Kenyan Digital Exchange, and then the larger exchanges would use those as proof of concepts. And we are seeing things going down that line. NASDAQ is very interested in tokenizing their assets because they know that this is a really efficient way to do things. But what this Swarm interview let me know is that not only will DEXs like Saucer Swap serve as a proof of concept, but they're also going to be direct competitors. They have the capability of being direct competitors with the NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange, FTSE, the Nikkei, and the list goes on. And why might they actually be able to outcompete? Well, there's a few reasons for that. Number one, there's plenty of overhead that's already built into these traditional exchanges. They have tons of employees. They have built these huge systems that cost a lot of money. And any profit that is left over go to their shareholders. Where on DEXs, it goes to the token holders for the native token for the DEX and the liquidity providers. And why might people take these securities that are tokenized through Swarm and bring them onto a DEX like Saucer Swap? Well, there's going to be a huge wealth transfer in the years to come as the boomers and older generations pass on their wealth to the younger millennials and the younger generations, and they're already going to be familiar with things like providing liquidity on DEXs, and they might get a lot of Apple stock or SPY ETFs or something along those lines, and they can take those to Swarm, have those tokenized, and then provide that liquidity on DEXs, and they're getting the profit then. They are getting the benefits directly. This is why a lot of the assets might move over into the DeFi space. And of course, this is huge for the DEXs out there. They are, because of the regulatory clarity that has just come over the past year, they're going to be able to actually do these things. Now, as was made clear by Philip there, you're going to have to KYC to get into the system, and those assets might change hands many times in the DeFi space. And when somebody does decide to offboard, they may go through the traditional DeFi way and trade into HBAR and take that to Coinbase, trade it for US dollars, and then put that into their bank account, or go through the USDC way and go to Binance with the USDC or crypto.com, trade those for dollars, and then put those into their bank account. Or if you're dealing in tokenized securities on DEXs a lot, you may just want to take those securities, hold on to those securities, and KYC on Swarm, get your hands on the certificates, and then do whatever you might want, or trade into fiat and then offboard that way. So there's a lot of different options here, and I'm excited around what the possibilities might be. And I'm excited to see how DEXs could compete with those traditional exchanges. And this is what I love about the crypto and especially the Hedera space. There's always something to be excited about. It is going to revolutionize the world. I have no doubt about that. This one has been the latest thing that I've gotten excited about. And in the Hedera space, I would say it's one of the top things that I'm excited about, besides probably the HBAR expanding its own economy. And you guys know that I think that the HBAR should be the native currency for AI, for transactional Internet of Things, because it's 10 times cheaper than the already cheap HTS tokens and stablecoins that we have on Hedera. But the other thing that excites me about that is it's a new route for demand for the HBAR. Right now, it's mainly speculation and, of course, for fees. But to have demand for use of the HBAR as a transactional currency could absolutely be huge. And I've actually been pushing some of the orgs to do things along these lines. The latest conversation I had was you should have a hackathon specifically around using the HBAR as a medium of exchange, pushing people into those low-value transactions of transactional Internet of Things, and of course AI. So the next thing we're going to jump into is still in the TradFi space, and it's an announcement that came out of one of our old friends, Graham Rodford at ArchAx. So as you may know, ArchAx is a UK-regulated digital asset exchange, and this week has launched its new pool token feature on Hedera. This lets investors bundle different tokenized assets like stocks, bonds, funds, and crypto into a single tradable token. The very first pool token will include equal parts of money market funds from 4 major asset managers: Aberdeen, BlackRock, State Street, and Legal & General. This marks another big step forward in the digital transformation of finance, giving institutional investors in particular more flexibility and control when building and managing their portfolios. Graham said this represents the launch of unprecedented flexibility in portfolio build and fund creation on-chain. By enabling the creation of pool tokens, an issuer could come to us to create a natively on-chain portfolio, basket, or index fund. Tokenized portfolios can be assembled and managed with speed and flexibility, so we're eliminating the operational inefficiencies that have long plagued traditional investment structures, all while maintaining regulatory compliance and institutional-grade security. So one of the things that I've noticed about Graham is he is a grinder. He sees the vision of what's possible with tokenized assets, and he's going to position ArchAx to take full advantage. So it's great to have him building in the Hedera space. The next thing we're going to jump into is a couple updates we have around the HBAR-backed ETFs. So first, Grayscale filed their S1 to the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission for their HBAR-backed product. NASDAQ filed the Grayscale 19B4 along with the one from Canary Capital's HBAR ETF earlier this year. Canary filed their S1 at the end of last year. Now, I'm not sure if there's any significance to the order of these filings. Obviously, it doesn't really matter which one you do first, if it's the S1 or the 19B4. Canary Capital put their S1 in November of last year, as I mentioned, and then did their 19B4. Grayscale did their 19B4 and is now putting in their S1. And I hope I have that right and this isn't some kind of amendment, but either way, it seems like things are moving in the right direction. We still don't know if there's going to be several of these US altcoin ETFs that are going to be approved at once, as happened with Bitcoin, or if they're going to go in the order in which they were filed, as was urged in an open letter from top executives from 21 Shares, Canary Capital, and Van Eck. The second thing is we saw the Depository and Trust Clearing Corporation, or DTCC, list the Canary ETF on their active and pre-launched ETF list. With all of these developments, it seems to justify Bloomberg Intelligence call for a 90% likelihood for approval of the HBAR ETF before the end of the year. Oh, and another thing that came out of the DTCC listing, that's the Canary ETF ticker is going to be HBAR. Now, I'm not sure if that was in the 19B4 or the S1, but I didn't catch it. It was pretty clear here in the DTCC listing, so I figured I'd pass it on. Now, I'm not sure what the grayscale one is going to be yet, but I'm sure somebody's going to pick up HBAR. And before we move on from Hedera and TradFi, I do want to highlight an interview that was done by Genfinity from KAIO. Great interview. Make sure you check out the entire thing. We did get permission from the Genfinity team to grab a couple highlights, so take a look.
First question here is KAIO protocol integrates with funds like BlackRock, Brave and Howard, Hamilton Lane, Laser Digital. What was the vision behind starting with these institutions, and why is this significant for distributed ledger adoption? And welcome, Oliver, to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Look, we wanted to start with the most trusted name in global finance, really to set the tone for institutional confidence when it comes to tokenization. When you work with names like BlackRock, Brave and Howard, Hamilton Lane, those are really issuers that are bringing scale, regulatory rigor, and really proven strategies that are really, in our view, critical to bridge TradFi and on-chain finance. And that was really the DNA of KAIO from day one. We really wanted to operate an institutional-grade platform that would make some of those big names in TradFi corporatable, whilst enabling on-chain distribution and composability. And by the way, we're not doing that just for very simple kind of financial product. We're talking here macro hedge fund, one of the most complex financial products in traditional finance, private credit, money market fund, of course, because there's a demand for this type of yield, and this carry fund we have from Laser Digital. So KAIO platform allows really for tokenizing complex product in a regulated way while bridging that with on-chain distribution. And in my view, this is fundamental to bring to move to the next level of tokenization. We all agree we passed the tipping point for RWA. There is this virtuous circle of stablecoin, and this digital money will need digital product to invest in. For me, really the tipping point has been all of the regulatory tailwind with regards to stablecoin in the US. Because again, once you are on-chain with digital dollar, you need to find a way to park those dollars somewhere. And that is where RWA, institutional grade RWA comes into play. And working with Hedera and some of the other ones, we are really unlocking this and bringing, therefore, issuers and investors into the next stage of finance.
And I noticed from the site that there's multiple different blockchain ecosystems, from Aptos, Avalanche, Base, Chainlink, a lot of big names, obviously, and a newer name that you guys just announced recently is Hedera. Talk a little bit about why you guys chose Hedera for institutional RWA funds. What specific features make Hedera best suited for institutional grade tokenization?
I'm super happy we're finally able to work with Hedera. Actually, I have on my personal side a long history with Hedera. I was with Nomura before, and Nomura is the actual parent of Laser Digital and therefore one of the main investors in KAIO. Actually, at Nomura, we were one of the initial council members for Hedera. Back in 2018, I got involved with the Hedera Foundation. So we are working here with friends and close partners. And from 2018, 2019, when we started to get involved in Hedera, what we really like at the time is you're talking enterprise-grade governance when it comes to blockchain. And that's not always the case with many other kind of chains there. So we offer this predictable, low-cost transaction fee model in a way where, I think the consensus model, which ensures finality and fairness, is very important for institutions that are looking to come on-chain. They don't want to tolerate any network instability. They don't want to tolerate, downtime and so on. And with Hedera, with the system that they have, we really feel this is really bringing on-chain TradFi quality that sometimes is difficult to achieve over layer one. So Hedera really brings this, compliance-ready infrastructure model that aligns with regulated financial products. So that's really this integration for us is really a critical inflection point to bring institutional blockchain adoption to TradFi. So I'm super excited by the work we're planning to do with Hedera, and that's really a first step, I think.
So a huge thank you to Ryan from Genfinity and the rest of the Genfinity team. They do a fantastic job covering all kinds of things in the Hedera ecosystem. Go check out that entire interview and anything else they put out going on across this ecosystem and anything else in crypto as well. The next thing we're going to get into is some interesting things that are going on with Hedera hackathons right now. The first thing is the Hello Future Origins hackathon came out with their winners. So the AI and agent track winners were Major Gains, which is an AI DeFi agent, Hedera, an AI investing guide, and Mariposa Plus, which is an AI Web3 wallet. In DeFi and tokenization, Aegis Protocol took the top spot, which is for trust and asset management. Hedera came in second, which is an on-chain token index. And in third, we had Hashfast, which is a Hedera payments protocol. Next in sustainability, we had Green Trace, which is a carbon management platform. In second, we had Notability, waste to energy credits, and then Veritas with their proof of product claims. And finally, under the legacy builder track, we had FSend, Novalax, and Lynx Token. So congratulations to all the winners of that hackathon, and we have some more news around the largest Hedera hackathon in history, and I have a quick interview to explain it all. Ishmael, welcome back. I'm excited to have you on today because there's some really big stuff that's going on with the African hackathon. But to start off, can you just tell us how things are going in general?
Things are going amazing. We're kicking off the 6th week of the hackathon. This week, it's been an amazing run. We have more than 230 projects who have already applied for the hackathon. Some very exciting builds around immersive experiences, on-chain finance and RWA, AI. We're seeing people use the latest stuff, the latest tech on Hedera, and making use of the best stuff out there to get their projects running. We have more than 1,700 people already registered as individual hackers, and more than 2,100 of them already active on Discord. So the big stuff that we have, because the goal of the hackathon is mainly to get people interested and active on Hedera. And for that, we have more than 23,000 people who have already registered on our LMS to get into the Hedera certification program. Out of those, more than 7,500 have already completed their certification. So this is massive, not just for the hackathon, but also for the bigger and larger Hedera ecosystem, because it means right now we have 7,500 more developers on Hedera trying stuff out there, building projects, getting into hackathons. So yeah, so stuff has been amazing. Right now, we're in the process of kicking off the hacking stations. So we have more than 18 hacking stations across Africa, which we would like to thank our sponsor and key partner, Orange, for providing these spaces to get people on the ground running and getting people to these physical hacking spaces to create their teams, to get the trainings they need, to get the mentorship they need. It's amazing.
Well, it certainly sounds like things are going well, but there was some major news that just hit today. It was already the biggest hackathon that we've ever had in the Hedera space, one of the biggest that we've ever had in crypto in general. But we got some new news. Can you tell us about it?
Yeah, 100%. So as of today, we have agreed with UGFS, which is one of the biggest VCs in North Africa, to commit $1 million in follow-on investment to the winners of the hackathon. Because again, I will reiterate this, but the idea of the hackathon is not to just bring out winners of the hackathon, will just take the prize pool and run away, but to get investable projects. That's why the prize pool is so huge, because it will allow you to set up your project, to set up your business and scale internationally. But also after the hackathon, we're providing support. The hackathon is only the first step. So we're going to be providing support, mentorship, business mentorship, technical mentorship, and also follow-on investment, and connecting you with a wide network of investors that will take you to the next level and take Africa in general and all the participants of the hackathon from all over the world to the next step.
Now, we keep calling this an African hackathon, and that's because the hacking stations are there in Africa. We're trying to address a lot of African issues, but this is open to any developers throughout the world, right?
100%. It's open to all developers from all over the world, like especially with our Kabila space. In the last few weeks, I've had some people interested from Germany, from Italy. A lot of people are getting excited and interested. And I've had even calls with them to discuss their project, to help them out there. And it's for everyone.
All right, Ishmael. Well, this is very exciting. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on to the audience?
What I want to pass on to the audience is that you're not too late. We still have 3 weeks in the hackathon. You can already register on Dora Hacks, get your team out there. You can get all the help you need from the hackathon team. We have office hours every day on Discord. We have the Telegram to find co-founders and people to share the experience with you. And then again, just register on Dora Hacks and you'll not be missing out on $1 million prize pool and $1 million follow-on investment. So yeah, the opportunity is still there for you. It's not too late, so go get it.
Now we're going to shift gears a bit, getting into Hedera retail. We had an NFT project that launched this week that hit in a huge way and had a lot of success. The Bad Birdz mint sold out in just about 2.5 seconds, and it was actually before it even made it to the public mint. The art has really resonated with people, and though I didn't get in on the mint itself, I did pick up one on secondary. I figured, how could I not pick up this clean little guy, support a new Hedera NFT project, while at the same time repping Kabila and Hashpack? And we've had a few more sales of my Bulbarians. Here are some examples of either some of the ones that were bought or I got requests for animations this week. And we also have the Queen that's still outstanding on Kabila. And once you've gotten one of these Bulbarians, it'll give you access to my token-gated, Galaxy-powered HBAR Bull World. I put in early content for stuff that I put in my show. I'm also going to start putting exclusive content in there. So if you appreciate the content that I create, go ahead and pick up a HBAR Barian either on secondary, on Centex, or Kabila. And there's also active mint going on right now, so you can pick one up there as well. And as if we didn't have enough going on this week, we also have an interview with AE, who is getting into the Hedera social media and gaming space. Today, I'm excited to have Kuze. He is the director of AE Labs. Kuze, thank you so much for hopping on today.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Brandon.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. I will say that I love a good origin story. So I'm curious about yourself and what brought you to Hedera.
Okay, I'm gonna give a bit of a backstory. I'll try to go over it quickly. So in 2019, I applied to go to film school, and I went there, and after the orientation week, I decided not to continue. So because I went there and like the teachers were old, and we were gonna have to study like the history of film and stuff, which is cool, but I was really ambitious and I just wanted to make things. And, like, even if I continue, I'm going to be making the things that the teachers assign me to do, right? So I'm not going to be able to make really, like, exactly what I want. So I decided that wasn't a good choice. Yeah, this is like 2019 fall. I started working on my own, like, short films and stuff like that. Then a couple months later in 2020, the pandemic came. So then, like, I had to cancel some of my film-related plans. Everyone is at home on their computers. I got into like, digital art and stuff like that. And eventually 2020 summer, I got into investing and learning about, history of money and like economy. And like, I would be watching interviews with like, founders and tech people. On my computer, it would tell me like how long my computer has been on, and it would be like from 9 a.m. to 3 a.m. One of these videos was Mike Maloney's video series about what's it called, like the about history of money,
Hidden Secrets of Money.
Yeah. So then HBAR was mentioned there, so that's where rabbit hole started. Yeah, then I'm researching about these new technologies and cryptos, and I'm not just like investing in like random projects and stuff. I really want to invest into something that makes sense technologically. And like Hedera was that. I think it's like, one of the superior decentralized networks that we have right now.
It's a heck of a rabbit hole, that's for sure. So now let's jump into what you've built. Can you tell us about AE?
So AE Labs is the creative technology company that I'm building, and AE is one of the products, our first product that we're launching. It's a social platform. You can make posts and message people, but then on top of that, there's the gaming aspect where you have a character and you can customize your character, customize your room, meet up with your friends, and play mini games. So this first version that we have, it just has the those like posting functionality and messaging functionality, and there's this demo room. You can interact with some characters and play mini games with them. We don't have the multiplayer function yet for the game. That's coming out in the upcoming months. And with that, there will be a marketplace where creators and brands can submit their digital items for people to buy and for their character to wear. We have some exciting announcements coming that we collaborated with some like brands for this launch. Yeah.
So this past Tuesday, I believe you actually launched your first product, what you're talking about here today. Can you tell us about the gaming and why people would want to play this these mini games you have?
So First of all, the reason why I built something like this is because, I wanted to experience and interact and play with something like this. I think, we have these like NFT profile picture projects and stuff like that. But then, okay, what's after that? Like, what do you do with these profile pictures or these like digital characters? You need to be able to, play with them and customize them. So that's where the need comes from. And yeah.
So can you tell us about, you said you have some other things coming. What does your roadmap look like? What's the future look like for AE?
Yeah, so this first version is out. You have the messaging and feed and the demo of the game. Then in the upcoming months, we will have the multiplayer function, marketplace function, and just more collaborations. But aside from this AE application, we have other products that are going to be coming out. One of them is a personal dashboard, and there are a few other projects. And I would like to all of the on-chain aspects of it. I want to keep it on Hedera because it's very efficient.
That makes perfect sense. That's what we hear a lot. The efficiency of Hedera is one of the reasons to build on the network, and of course the fixed fees and everything else. So what are the first steps for somebody that wants to get involved with AE? What do people do to get involved right now?
They can go to ae.com, but it's not the two letters, it's that letter where A and E are combined. So they can go there, or x.com/AEL, and download the AE app, try it, use it, let us know what you think. Let us know if something should be improved. Yeah.
So is it a web application, or is this something you can get through, the Google Play Store or App Store?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, at first. So, I should mention that at first it's just the Google Play and Apple App Store applications. And then, in the upcoming months, we will also have a web version, which I think I personally will use more because the experience will be it will be a bit different. Like, it's more like, you can, sit on your chair and just relax and play with the game and just respond to people. I think it's more like I like those vibes more rather than looking at your phone. But I mean, phone is still cool, and yeah.
Yeah, makes perfect sense to me. All right, so this has been great. I'm looking forward to getting involved myself. Is there anything else you'd like to pass on before we let you go?
So I mentioned in previous interviews that the aesthetic that we're going for, we have a specific term for this aesthetic, and it's called webpunk. So we're gonna be really pushing that aesthetic, and we want to create a community around that aesthetic. And to me, what webpunk means is that it's retro futuristic, and then hacker culture, early web culture, all of those combined.
Well, I think it looks amazing. I think you guys are doing a fantastic job from everything that I've seen so far. Thank you so much for hopping on today, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
So it was great talking to Kuzey, and I can tell that their team is really dedicated to their vision, so I'm looking forward to what they have coming out in the future. One of the things that I know people are probably concerned about is there were some exploits of Solana and Ethereum wallets this week. To explain, a massive supply chain attack hit the NPM ecosystem, targeting both Ethereum and Solana developers. Hackers compromised several widely used JavaScript packages like Chalk and Debug, which have billions of weekly downloads, by injecting malicious code designed to intercept crypto transactions. The breach started with a phishing attack on a maintainer, letting attackers silently reroute wallet approvals and transfers. Luckily, the financial damage was minimal, but it goes to show how diligent we need to remain in the space. Hedera doesn't seem to have been targeted, and both SaucerSwap and HBAR put out notifications to this effect. Next up, longtime Hedera builder Neuron, known for building aviation and drone solutions with Hedera, announced the AI and node builder a few days ago. Neuron's AI node builder is a visual node code platform that lets you design sophisticated automation and AI workflows by dragging and linking modular nodes on a canvas. These nodes can represent logic units, data streams, or AI modules, allowing you to build edge automation systems, real-time sensor pipelines, decision-making logic with LLMs, and more without a single line of boilerplate code. Now, I'm going to try to get some more information from the team. We don't know if this is going to leverage Hedera in any way, but with HBAR being the optimum currency for the AI space and them being such prolific builders, I think that there's a pretty good chance that they will integrate Hedera at some level. If not, we got to push them in that direction. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into some network analysis. No real change in network throughput. We're still averaging about $2,000 in daily revenue. Time to consensus finality is still running just under 2.5 seconds. Hourly active accounts are between 400 and 600, and we've created close to 60,000 accounts just over this past week. Moving over to the HBAR and crypto markets, Bitcoin is up 3% on the day and 5% on the week to $116,000. HBAR is up 4% on the day and 12.5% on the week to 24.5 cents at the time of recording. It's a little early to be conclusive, but I have hope that we're breaking out of the bull flag, and if so, we may test 30 cents before we know it. If we break above 30, it could be clear sailing all the way up to 40 cents. More on that next week. We need to get some more data on this chart. Looking forward to next week. We're going to have Brady on for a DeFi Corner on Sunday, and then we're going to follow that up on Monday and get into a DeFi Corner Live where you're going to be able to jump on and ask us any questions about anything we cover on Sunday in Hedera DeFi or anything else that you might want to dive into. I'm also going to get Deloitte and Dosa on next week for some interviews. Obviously, those are on completely opposite sides of the spectrum. One is completely enterprise, one is completely retail, but we like to have that balance on here. Besides that, I'm going to try to get Rob on. He might have some things that he wants to cover next week, and then I'm going to be jumping on the Hedera community call with, I believe, Centex. I'll be representing Saucer Swap, and we're going to dive into some things again on Hedera retail. That's pretty much all we have. Again, if you want to support the channel, go ahead and get on Kabila and pick up one of those Bulbarians. That's all we have. We'll see you next week.